There are two kinds of loneliness. One comes when you lose someone you love. The other comes when people stop seeing who you are. Elias had lived with both. The apartment was always spotless. Everything had its place. Everything except him. Every morning after returning from the park, he quietly organized his manuscripts. He never counted how many there were. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of pages. Stories, poems, unfinished novels, letters, thoughts written across an entire lifetime. Sometimes he smiled reading a sentence he no longer remembered writing. Sometimes he quietly crossed out a single word after 20 years. To everyone else they were old papers. To Elias they were proof that he had lived. One afternoon his daughter-in-law entered carrying a cardboard box. She looked around the room, then smiled politely. "Elias," she said, "would you mind if we stored some of these boxes downstairs? You'll have so much more space." Elias looked at the box, then at the shelves, then back at her. He knew she wasn't trying to hurt him. She simply didn't understand what those papers truly were. He smiled gently. "Not today," he whispered. "Maybe another day." That evening the three of them sat together for dinner. The television was on. No one was really watching it. They ate almost in silence. The sound of forks against plates filled the room. Elias remembered another table, a smaller house, his wife pouring tea while laughter drifted through every room. Back then silence had felt peaceful. Now it felt empty. Suddenly his son looked up. "Dad, you should really try using the computer. It would make your writing much easier." Elias smiled. "Maybe," he replied, "but I still trust my old typewriter." His daughter-in-law gave a polite laugh. "Technology," she said, "moves forward. Sometimes we have to let old things go." The words were gentle, but somehow they landed much heavier than she intended. Elias quietly lowered his eyes. He wasn't thinking about the typewriter. He was wondering if one day people would say the same thing about him. Maybe it's time to let old things go. Later that night, he stood beside the window. The city shimmered beneath him. Thousands of lights, thousands of lives. Yet he had never felt so invisible. A few days later something small happened. Something almost anyone could have done. Elias misplaced his apartment key. He searched every pocket, walked back through the park, checked every bench, every path, every corner. But it was gone. When his son came home they replaced the locks that same evening. "It's safer," his son explained. "Someone could find the key." Elias nodded. He understood. Or at least he tried to. From that day on he checked his pocket again and again before leaving home. Sometimes 5 times before closing the front door. He became afraid of forgetting. Afraid of making another mistake. One evening after returning from the park he forgot to lock the apartment door. Only once. His son noticed it. "Dad," he said gently, "you have to remember. Someone could walk right in." Elias tried to smile. "But I was home. Nothing would have happened." His son looked at him with concern. "Dad," he said quietly, "if someone wanted to steal something they wouldn't be afraid of you." The room fell silent. Elias said nothing. But that single sentence echoed in his heart long after everyone had gone to bed. They wouldn't be afraid of you. A week later the apartment was unusually busy. Suitcases stood near the front door. Clothes were neatly folded. Passports lay on the kitchen table. Elias watched quietly. Then his son finally spoke. "Dad, we're leaving for a few weeks. It's something we've planned for a long time." Elias smiled gently. "I hope you both have a wonderful trip." His son hesitated. Then he took a slow breath. "There's one more thing. While we're away you'll be staying at a care center." Elias blinked. "A care center?" Only for a little while, his son answered quickly. You'll have doctors, nurses, people your age, you'll be safer there. Elias looked from his son to his daughter-in-law. She gave him a reassuring smile. Please don't worry. Everything has already been arranged. For a long moment nobody spoke. Elias wanted to say, I'm not sick. He wanted to say, this is still my home. He wanted to ask why no one had asked what he wanted. But the words never came. He simply nodded. If that's what you've decided, he whispered. Early the next morning his son loaded the luggage into the car. Before leaving, Elias quietly reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out his apartment key. He looked at it for several seconds. Then without a word he placed it into his son's hand. The car slowly disappeared into the morning traffic. Elias turned toward the window. For the first time since losing his wife, he felt that he was no longer leaving a house. He was leaving the last place where he still believed he belonged. To be continued.